One of the things that I see so much is people who are new agency owners or people who have no sort of real sales experience that are now going into selling something is they often pay for some kind of sales mentorship or training, or they watch YouTube videos and they develop their sales system, their sales beliefs, their script, everything from this person that they're learning from. And there's nothing really wrong with this, everyone's got to start at some point. But one thing that people just miss out quite a lot is the thing that the person you are learning from, what they're selling can often be very, very different than what you're selling. And the people that they're selling it to can be even more different, which is, the most important thing. And many times you might be, sold onto a course or a mentorship or something like that, and you're quite an inexperienced buyer. But many times when you're selling something, like let's say you do e-commerce ads and you're an e-commerce agency, you're going to be dealing with prospects there who are very, very experienced. And so the way that you would handle those two prospects are going to be completely different. And so oftentimes, if you've ever been onto a course or you've, tried to buy something and you're pretty much a consumer, the script and the whole sales technique can be very emotional. It can have quite a lot of emotional ties in, right? It's all about getting you to a certain point and understanding your main motivations for getting there. Oftentimes they don't ask you questions about your actual agency. They don't ask you questions about the specifics of what you're looking for. It's all about making sure that they're bridging the gap between the person that you are right now and the person that you want to become, and then putting their product somewhere in the middle, right? Which is a very, very solid way to sell. It works very well. But the issue that I see is that a lot of people are trying to sell that way, but they are selling to a prospect or a group of people that do not respond to this, simply because they've been there, they've seen it, they've done it. Maybe they sell a lot of things for themselves, or maybe they're just very, very knowledgeable about the thing they're actually selling, right? So let's say, for example, if you're selling, adverts to e-commerce businesses, then these e-commerce businesses are going to be very, very knowledgeable of Google ads, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, all of the specifics that come with e-commerce. And so they're looking for someone who has that expertise, who has that proof, right? They're looking for confidence that way, because it's all well and good, just saying that, we can get you to this point and I'm super confident that we can, and putting some kind of emotional tie in there and trying to find out why specifically this person wants to get their brand from, 1 million a year to 2 million a year. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of those people, their confidence is going to come from you being an expert in your field and having the evidence and the case studies and the knowledge to back that up. And so one of the big shifts that I made is we target many B2B businesses, and a lot of the B2B businesses that we worked with previously were people who were maybe just starting out, people who didn't really have like huge experience. They didn't have years and years of the company's history behind them. And so a lot of those emotional scripts and, the sales system of trying to get an emotional tie in and trying to bridge that gap, it made a lot of sense and it worked very well. But since we've branched out into working with much bigger agencies, bigger businesses, businesses where there's 10, 20, 50 people on board sometimes, it doesn't make any sense at all to go from an emotional standpoint of view, because these guys are going to be absolutely killers when it comes to sales, right? They're very, very number orientated. And so in a scenario like this, or when you deal with someone like this, I always recommend to just position yourself as much as the expert as possible. And the way that you do this is by just telling them about your expertise and just showing that you can actually, hang on their level. So when we talk about appointment booking, for example, I know that I can reel off like 5, 6, 7 things that people are doing wrong oftentimes with their appointment booking and with their strategy. And by doing this and just by talking about the strategies that we are actually running for our clients and running for ourselves, I show the level of competence and expertise that we have inside of the business. And so that creates a lot of confidence. We also have tons of testimonials, lots of case studies that I can easily just show prospects that we have. And this is where I win the sales battle. But if I was focusing on the business owner who makes, 7 figures a year and has a team of 10 people, and I was trying to tell him, what happens if you get to multi-7 figures a year? Are you going to buy a bigger car? Are you going to buy another Porsche or whatever? It's not going to work, right? We're not going to actually get to that point, because maybe they have some kind of reason of why they wanted to do this, right? They want to, they want to help out a certain person or something like that, but they probably have the money, they probably have the resources to go and do that. And it doesn't really become about this sort of the sort of like life and death battle that that a lot of people have when it comes to selling emotionally, because oftentimes the inaction or the consequence of not doing something can be, I'm stuck in a 9 to 5, or I'm not going to have any money to pay rent, or I'm not going to be able to do the things that I want to do. Whereas when you're dealing with much more sophisticated business owners, it's like, if we don't solve this appointment booking problem, it's like we won't hit our profit targets for the year, right? But we'll still make 7 figures. So like, it's not really a deal breaker for those guys. But if you can basically say to them, like, look, we can help you to solve this problem. This problem is a bit annoying for you, but it comes from a much more business sense where they're happy to actually spend that money because they have the money. And as well, it makes sense because if you can help them to solve that problem, they can see a direct return on investment. They can see, okay, this company did had a similar result to me with a similar case study here. This person clearly knows what he's talking about. I'll give this person a shot. We'll go from there. We'll see how it goes, right? And obviously, you can inspire a lot of confidence from your offer and from the actual the way that you position yourself. We're talking about the actual result and not about the actual service. But when it comes to dealing with these big guys, the emotional tie-ins just aren't going to work. And so some examples of this, and I think some of these might be a bit controversial, but the businesses that I would say that you really shouldn't be looking to do some kind of emotional questioning with is going to be anyone who is a serious business owner who has a team underneath them and is in a sales environment, right? So this is going to be anyone from e-commerce businesses, right? It's going to be anyone from even home improvement businesses, because they're dealing with the general public and prospects every single day in selling, right? And even if they have a big business now where they manage a team of salespeople, or they even if they're far removed from the sales, they were that person that was selling once, and they were that person that was going into people's homes and learning sales techniques and basically learning on the job, and they would have hours and hours and hours of sales experience. And so if you go to someone who's 55 years old, has been in the business for 30 years, right? They've owned their own business for 20 or whatever it is, and then you start to say to them, John, what would this mean to you if we got you to multi 7 figures instead of 7 figures, right? He just wants to know exactly what you can do and how it can work, right? And even though these guys aren't really sophisticated buyers, they don't know an awful lot about Facebook ads, they don't know an awful lot about marketing themselves online, they might prefer word of mouth and referrals and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter, because the way that these guys work in terms of sales and in terms of their experience of sales is far, far greater than if you're dealing with someone who is a general consumer, right, who's buying a course or a training program or something like that. And so I see a lot of people, and I see a lot of gurus out there who are talking about sales in this very, very emotional way. And I think people get sucked into it. They have one script and they think, this is going to work. The script is often very uncomfortable sometimes, and they think, if I just really suck it up and I just got used to it and I just asked all the right questions and I just made sure I asked every single one, then things will be fine. But I don't think it will be. And in my experience, it definitely isn't. It works on guys who are experienced. They haven't been on too many sales calls. They don't really know how the calls go. But people who've been in the game for a while, the businesses that you probably want to attract, the bigger ones, the ones that you can charge 2, 3, 4, 5K a month for, those are going to be the guys who don't want the emotional questions, who want you to actually focus on the actual result of the business, why it works. They want you to give you confidence. And that's basically the philosophy that I think a lot of people should have. And so realistically, even if you're dealing with some guys who just don't have any online marketing experience at all, I'm trying to think of a few niches right now. Like real estate, super salesy. Home improvement, super salesy. If you want to deal with I don't know, anyone that's in like a local business where they're actually going out to people's houses or they're trying to call up the general public, they're probably involved in sales in some way. The one business that I would think like maybe it would, like the emotional tie-ins would work for, is if you're dealing with someone who is maybe pretty new or just like a one-man band job, right? But at that point, if you're dealing with those kind of businesses, like a restaurant or something, for example, then the amount of money that you're going to charge is probably not even going to be that high anyway, right? So is it even worth having a sales call at that point? Because I don't know what the lifetime value of those clients are going to be, but it's probably not going to be north of like 5K, right? And so even if you had a killer service and you kept all of your clients and your clients stayed on board for 12 months, you're probably not charging them more than $500 a month, because what kind of, like small restaurant or independent restaurant could afford that kind of money? And so, yeah, I think if you are going down the emotional route and you're not just basically saying like, this is what we do, this is why it works, and just instilling like crazy confidence through the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have, then try it out, and I think it will work pretty well for you. And this is not opposed to any sort of objection handling or sales techniques that come at the end of the call. This is something which kind of has to happen for every call, because there will be objections no matter what. If you are looking for a one call close, if you are looking to get that close done at the end of the second call or something like that, then objection handling is kind of a must. It's basically the make or break between someone who hits their sales targets and someone who doesn't. But that's kind of separate from what I'm talking about here. But yeah, if you're looking for more clients, link in the description. I don't really care if you click it or not. It's just a video of me explaining what we do, what my company does, how we've done this many times before. But yeah, if you like the video, like it, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.